Hello, I am Bonnie Hughes. Today we are speaking with Incanthera. They have a pipeline of targeted medicines for the prevention and treatment of cancer. Since their IPO in the end of February, their stock has risen 37%. And here to tell us all about the company is Tim McCarthy, Chairman, and Dr. Simon Ward, CEO. Hello, gentlemen.
Hi,
Hello,
Bonnie.
Bonnie. Hi, good to see you.
So, Tim, the company's been around for about 10 years. So, why did you decide to go public now? And what is your strategy to grow the company?
Yes, thank you. Great question. Why after 10 years? I guess for companies like ours, there is always a need at some point to access capital. So that's one common reason for accessing the public markets. I think also there's a little bit more than that, because we're getting to the stage where we are very much looking to commercialize our products in the near to medium term. And when one has a higher profile being a public company, then it does make it easier to make those connections. It makes it easier for us to do deals with commercial companies, and it very much then aligns with our business model, which is to commercialize our products into the marketplace as quickly as possible. So just to put that in context, we are a research and development company. And as I'm sure a lot of your viewers will recognize, research and development companies in their relatively early stages aren't profitable. So they generally have to either fund themselves through capital injections, either in the private or the public markets, or they have to generate revenues through license deals or some sort of commercialization deals. And what we've said from the beginning is that we don't particularly want to be having a model whereby we constantly have to go back to our shareholders or the public markets for cash. And we want to be self-sufficient as quickly as possible. And essentially, having a public listing allows us, or it helps us, if I can put it that way, in some of those commercialization ambitions.
Well, on track for becoming commercialization, your most advanced product is Sol, which is a topical treatment for cancer prevention as well as for the reoccurrence of cancer. So, Simon, can you just give us an overview of that product and the formula?
Yeah, absolutely, Bonnie. Many moons ago, I used to work in a dermatology company and had the great fortune of working with some of the world's top topical formulation experts. And one of those got in touch with me and said, Simon, I've got something here that you might be interested in now. You're running an oncology-based company. And we took a look, and what he'd managed to do was to solve a fairly intractable problem that had been irritating many companies to this point, and that was how to get a certain style of chemistry, a certain type of molecule, actually across the skin barrier to permeate into and through, so that it could reach a target such as a skin cancer. And one of those molecules within that style or within that family just happens to be known already to prevent the transition of actinic or solar keratosis. So that's the first kind of blemish that you see when you have UV irradiation or sun skin damage. To prevent that from turning into a skin cancer, especially a melanoma. Now, we say it's already known, but it's not really used because you have to take it orally at the moment. And to do that, you have to take bucket loads for a very long time. So the ideal solution to this would be to find a topical formulation so we can get it straight on the site, straight away, rubbing it into the skin, job done. And so we've solved this problem, which is really terribly exciting. We can now move this forward into a product line, hopefully, and put it in the hands of a partner to get it out there as soon as possible.
And how is this different than the current sort of sunscreens that are on the market?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good question. Sunscreens and sun creams, they all have some sort of protection factor in there. We call them SPF, so sun protection factor. And what this does actually essentially is prevent the UVA and UVB that comes from the sun rays burning the skin. And they're very effective at stopping skin from burning. They're less effective, if effective at all, actually, at preventing that sun inducing a cancer in the skin. So while you have a protection against burning, you don't have a protection against skin cancer. And so what we're providing is the protection against that skin cancer.
And Tim, how do you plan to take this product to the market, commercialize it, and generate revenue from it?
Now, there's an interesting strategy here, because as Simon was describing the way it works technically and scientifically, when one comes to commercialize, if I may put it in this sense, drugs, then what your viewers will be used to hearing would be that we have to take it through a clinical trial process, which is quite a long process, quite an expensive process, and at the same time highly regulated for obvious reasons, because we need to make sure drugs we put on the market are not only efficacious, in other words, they work, but they're safe as well, clearly. Now, there is a different route to getting sold to the market. In fact, there are two routes. There is that traditional route of going through the regulatory process to get it into the pharmaceutical market as a pharmaceutical drug. But there is also a way forward through what we would call the cosmetic market. And for obvious reasons, as Simon's just explained, its application and that it could very well be put together with a sun protection factor and a suntan oil, lotion, cream, whatever you want to describe it as. And because it's got history before, it's got data which proves that it's safe as well as being efficacious, then what we can do is take it through the cosmetic route. So some of the very well-known global brands which you'll be familiar with and your viewers will be familiar with, so L'Oreal's of this world, and they are the perfect partner for us. And the route to market through the cosmetic way is not as highly regulated. That doesn't mean to say that they put unsafe products on the market. It's just that you're not actually making a medical claim when you put this type of product onto the market. So there is the potential, once we find that partner, that they, with our assistance, can get this product onto the market extremely quickly. And to put that in context for us, we're going into a market which is literally billions of dollars per year. These type of products sell, and you can see the differentiation that we will have. And if we do the typical sort of deal where we will get a percentage royalty on sales, when we're getting even a relatively small percentage on $1 billion or more per year, that's an awful lot of money into Incanthera. So in short, that's the way we can get to the market relatively quickly. We can start to earn revenues quickly and substantial type revenues through the cosmetic route. It does not prevent us after that by going the pharmaceutical route as well and opening up that market as well. So we have both types of market, geographical opportunities as well. So that's why I think, amongst other things, and the way when Simon really gets talking about Sol, he does get people excited about the potential scientifically and what the benefits are. And that's what we saw in our IPO when we came to the market earlier this year. Investors got really, really excited about this product, extremely excited, because it is something different. It is very, very differentiated from what people see at the moment.
So Simon, you have some other therapies in the pipeline. Do you want to give us a quick overview of those other therapies?
Yeah, absolutely. We have a pipeline of opportunities, most of which stem from our collaboration with the University of Bradford, from whom we span out 10 years ago, and their Institute of Cancer Therapeutics, which has been mentioned. But we also, happily take in products from elsewhere if they fit our target and what we want to do. So what we have in the pipeline behind Sol are two opportunities, and they both depend on what we call prodrug targeting delivery. Now, prodrugs is a simple word that means we've altered the drug state, the chemical formula of the drug in some way. And most often you do that to try and solve some kind of solubility issue, so you can get the drug into a solution to give it to a patient. But what we're actually doing is using that prodrug modification to switch off the activity of the cancer chemotherapeutic. So it's basically a neutral compound that goes into the body, and it only gets switched on when it sees the tumor. So there's something in the tumor that will then activate this molecule and allow it to do its business. And of course, its business is killing the tumor in some way, shape, or form. So we're trying to keep the rest of the tissue nice and safe by not having it switched on, unless you're a cancer, in which case we'll go for you.
Unlike chemotherapy, which also targets the good cells, this is only going to target the bad cells.
That's the concept, absolutely, yes.
And can you just explain your relationship with the University of Bradford and the significance for the company?
Oh, absolutely. So the Institute of Cancer Therapeutics is an institute. It's actually a separate building, 4 or 5-story building that was built on the University of Bradford site. It's been populated by some fantastic researchers in oncology. And it's different in the UK because actually they have a very big leaning towards applied research rather than blue skies. So everything they do in that sort of cancer field has an endpoint, has a real product at the end of it, if you like. It's not just simple academic research. I say simple academic research, I'm doing a huge favour there, but just academic research for the sake of it. So that makes it very exciting.
Oh, sorry. And you have an exclusive deal with them as well.
We have a pipeline deal with them that allows us to take a look at what they have coming through the Institute. And if we like it, we have a discussion with the university and we'll develop it on from there. That's great.
Tim, you are a large shareholder of the company, which is always good to see from management, shareholders like that or investors like that. Can you just give us an overview of some of your other large shareholders like NWFB and if they could potentially invest more in the future?
Okay. Well, NWFB stands for Northwest Fund for Biomedical. And in fact, they were one of the very first investors that when Simon founded the company, he brought in to help fund the startup and the early stage development. So they are what's known as a regional fund. And as it happens, that particular fund has invested all of its cash now. So to answer your question directly, they won't be investing any more money, but that's not because they're not big supporters of the company, because they are. And as you quite rightly say, they're the largest shareholder, individual shareholder. But it's just structurally, as a fund, they have invested all their money. But if we step away from them, yes, you're absolutely right. I'm a shareholder in the company, but so is Simon. In fact, all the board of directors and the management team are shareholders, and we do believe that it's important. And in fact, we all invested on the IPO as well. So it's important that we wanted to demonstrate our support for the business, both in terms of putting our time and effort into it, but putting our money alongside investors as they came into the IPO. And again, there are a lot of positive resounding feedback that we got when we went to the market. And as you will appreciate, that being seen to stand alongside investors we were asking to put their money in the company obviously resonated very well. In terms of going forward, without sort of breaching any secrets here, I think if and when we need to raise any more money, we will certainly, i.e. the board of directors and the management, will continue to stand behind the company. We have lots of good investors that we brought into the company, both institutional and retail on the IPO. We've got existing investors that were there prior to the IPO as well. So from my perspective, when I look at it from a corporate perspective, a shareholder, investor way of looking at things, I'm really pleased actually with the shape of the shareholder base. It's got a good balance to it. And if and when we need to raise money again, then I'm very confident that we'll be able to. We don't actually need to. We had a very successful flotation, as you know, just 2 or 3 months ago on the AQUIS market. And, we're well funded for the moment. And clearly our priority, as I mentioned before, is to get out there and do some deals, firstly on Sol, and then obviously some deals on other products, which generate that revenue stream, which hopefully then will make us very financially independent as quickly as possible.
Excellent. And Simon, last but not least, can you tell us the future news flow we can expect from the company?
I think you need to keep your eyes peeled for news on Sol. That's going to be the most exciting development this year. And that's going to be, for the company, great news. So yes, whenever you see the word Sol, let's read that news flow quickly.
Well, let's just hope the next time you come up with news with Sol that the stock price doubles again.
That would be great.
Well, thank you very much for joining us, gentlemen. And I look forward to looking at your future news flow and speaking with you again.
It's a pleasure to speak to you, Bonnie. Thank you.